This is Billy Siegel of Whirling Dervishes and Splintered Sunlight, and you're listening to Rock On Radio.
I timed that pretty good.
Yes, you did.
Yes, we did. Hello, everybody. It's Sunday night. It's 7 o'clock. It is time for Rock On Radio, coming to you live right here from COARadio.com and SocietyBytesRadio.com. That's Bytes, B-Y-T-E-S. I am your host, Danny Coleman. Engineer Art is back this week.
Hello, how are you?
We were very sorry to hear of the passing of your father last
it was,
Sunday.
Kind of really fast, so thank you.
Yep, we were very sorry. Our condolences to you and your family.
Yeah, it all happened really, really fast. So, guess that's the way I want to go.
Not 90 and shot by a jealous husband.
That doesn't sound bad. No.
Our producer Claire is still in that remote cave
In Afghanistan.
That's right. Never to be. Her location is a total secret. We have all kinds of fun tonight. Well, first of all, Rock On Radio is brought to you by actress Eileen Sullivan, CPA Jody Weber, Johnny's Auto Glass, our good buddy John Alberici, O'Connor's American Bar and Grill of Mount Holly, the official caterers of the Rock On Radio Christmas Spectacular and Rock On Radio in general. Who else? Art? The New York, or the Candle Company of New York. I gave away the final one.
Oh, at happy hour?
At the happy hours. Yep. And they are just, people are coming up to me. Actually, I had two people come up to me on Thursday and say, those candles are out. Where we've checked out the website, which is Custom Candle Company, .com.
.com, right.
Yeah, and it's a Custom Candle Company of New York. Great stuff. Also by our good buddy, Mark Piner of High Tech Electronics.
That's right.
He gives us the safety and sound earbuds for the Rock On Radio happy hours.
Yeah, you gave some of those away Thursday.
Mm-hmm. Gave one of those away on Thursday. It was all part of the grand prize goodie package. You know, those safety and sound, they light up the earbuds. So if you're a jogger or something.
And you can murder people to them.
You can murder people.
Keep the
That's
beat.
right. There's a rhythm. And who else is our sponsor? Who am I forgetting? Deuce Music.
Deuce Music.
8 o'clock. We have the Deuce Music Minute this evening.
I'll try to remind you.
Yep, please do. And we will featuring Tammy, an artist from the UK. Tammy. That's how it goes. She's just
Actually, those are pretty good artists that we've been, getting from them.
Yes.
I've liked all the music that we've heard so far.
Yeah, matter of fact, the Deuce, he has his own radio thing that he does.
Oh, does
he just got picked up by a station, an FM station in Los Angeles.
Nice.
So that's really cool.
Very cool.
Gotta like that. But stay tuned. That's at 8 o'clock, the Deuce Music Minute. We're expecting phone calls. We're expecting a phone call actually from the UK. So it's like 1 o'clock in the morning over there, or midnight over there right about now.
So they're just leaving the bar.
The pub, but yes, probably.
You can call me in 5 hours. We'll be open for
from a band called the Gold Needles. Mark English is supposed to give us a call this evening. That's happening very shortly, actually, in another minute or so. And that's all before we get to our guest this evening, who has put out a film called Unlikely Story. I have to issue a disclaimer that deals with the sensitive subject of suicide. So this could at times have an intense feeling to this program as we get into it. But this is the man, if you're watching on radio at home, this is Ricardo Lorenzo. Hello. He's our guest on the program this week. So
Yeah.
We have to. Oops, where is he? Let me see. I'm expecting a call.
I mean, we started this off pretty dark already. Somebody passed, and then sorry to hear that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then to get onto this topic, it's like, this show is going on towards a dark route.
Yeah, right. Well,
Dad was 85. He left. He led a pretty wonderful life.
That's good.
Pretty sure he got to do everything you wanted to do.
Right.
I made sure he did like those last month or so. That's all I did was run him around doing things
85 is a long time.
Atlantic City took a hit though.
Atlantic City's going to take a hit.
On what?
His dad liked to
The
gamble.
senior bus trip.
Oh,
Here comes the call we've been waiting for. On the phone with us right now from the UK, we have Mr. Mark English. Hello, Mark. Hello. Whoop, I don't know where he went. Let me see. I don't know what happened to him. Where you at, Mark? I got no volume for you there, buddy. My volume's all the way up. I don't know what happened, Mark. Let me see. Let's try this. How's that? You there?
That's much better. I can hear you.
Oh, there you go. There you go. All right. I had you. I guess I didn't have you on speaker. That could be what the problem was. My apologies. All right, Mark. Thank you for staying awake so late for us this evening.
Oh, that's fine. Yeah, it's just got midnight here in the UK.
Well, that's not too bad. You're a musician. You just getting ready to go out, right?
Well, yeah. It's just after midnight, but it's Monday morning, and it's work unfortunately tomorrow as well.
Oh, nice. Yeah, true. Work. Forgot about that. Monday to Friday.
yep.
So, where exactly is Hull, England?
It's in Yorkshire, and we're a port town on the northeastern coast of England. So, if you know England at all, if you know the UK at all, from the bottom of the country to the top of Scotland, Hull is about halfway. But we're north of England. We're about 40 miles from York. So
Okay.
So we're in the north, we're on the coast.
Actually, we have an affiliate over there, RFTK Radio. .nr.co RFTK Radio. They rebroadcast this program. So they're in. I think they're in Yorkshire or South Yorkshire, maybe one of those. But
Yorkshire's quite well for the UK. Yorkshire's quite a big county. In American standards, it's probably tiny. But South Yorkshire's not a million miles away from here.
Okay, great. So you'll be heard there sometime next week. I'll have to check on the schedule and we'll let your people know. So how did you get hooked up with Gem Records? And tell us about this release that just came out June 21st, right? Through a Window?
Yeah, that's right. Well, we released our debut album, which was a bit of a compilation actually. It was an album of tracks that were recorded over a period of about 2.5, 3 years. And that came out on Cool Cat, which is obviously based in New Jersey. So Marty and Gem had become aware of us, and we'd recorded some new stuff, and we were looking for a bit of a step up to take it to the next level, if you like. And we sent a couple of tracks to Marty in December, and he came up straight away and really, really liked them, and said, "What else have you got?" So we sent him the rest of the stuff we had. And he was really keen on them. He was hooked on them more or less straight away. So we had some discussions and signed to Gem on New Year's Eve. Kept it a little bit under wraps until we were ready to sort of go public with the album release. Spent a bit of time re-recording some of the guitars on the album, remixed it, remastered it, and then the final product came out on June the 21st on Gem Records, and we're really pleased with it.
Okay, that's so it's doing well so far.
Yeah, it's doing really well. We've picked up lots and lots of airplay right across, everywhere from New Zealand to Norway, from South Africa to Canada. So it's getting played a lot. There's certain tracks that seem to be getting picked up quite a bit more by stations. First two tracks, to be fair, and the second track, Sunset Girl, is it's getting a lot of airplay. We've had lots and lots of great reviews, lots of great feedback. And in the UK, it's great being a musician, because when you're a kid, you dream about getting an album out, and your album actually being in the major record stores. And the biggest high street retailer of music in the UK is HMV. And it's great to go into an HMV store, and then you see the little card with Gold Needles on our CDs there, and that's a really good feeling.
Oh, I'm sure it's got to be. It's got to be a fantastic feeling. I'm a musician myself, Mark, and I know that's always. I can't even imagine. The reason that this program has started is because when I was a 15-year-old kid, I heard my music on a local radio station. I remember the chills I got. So 40 years later, when the opportunity came up, or 30 years later, actually 30 years later, when the opportunity came up for me to start a radio program, I remembered that feeling and thought, you know what, if I can give that to other musicians, mission accomplished. So I can't even imagine what it would be like to go into a record store and see my CD or my album or whatever it is or was that they're doing right there in front of you with people. Do you ever get the urge to just kind of stand next to your disc in the in the record store just to see what people say about it?
I was in Leeds, which is quite a big city in northern England. A week or so after the album had come out, and they have a big HMV store there. And I thought, go in and just see if it's in. So I wandered into HMV, found the CD section, and you picked it up, and there it was. And I saw one of the assistants, and I just said to him, I said, would you mind? I said, can I just take a photograph? And he said, yeah, of course you can. He said, thanks for asking. I'm standing there, and I've got the photograph on my phone ready, and then he wandered around and he said, do you mind? He said, do you mind telling me what is it that you're taking a photograph of? So I'm like, got a big smile on my face. He said, oh, this album here, and I pointed to it, another card. And he said, oh yeah, he said, that's just come in. I said, that's my brand. And he went, really? And I said, yeah. And he said the same. He said, that must be such a good feeling. And I said, it is. I said, it's just great, to go into a big retailer and your album's sat there, and you look to the left and there's the Beatles, and you look to the right and there's the Rolling Stones, and in the middle there's the Gold Needles, and it was it's a great feeling.
I can imagine. It's got to be. So, but you guys, you're kind of classified as, if I read the information that was sent to me, a tight knit psych pop group which embraces the eclectic, the forgotten, and the yet to be discovered.
Yeah, I mean, that's quite a nice soundbite. I'm not quite sure what it actually means, but it's quite a nice soundbite. It's I would say we're a power pop type band. We're obviously the whole band are big fans of the Beatles, and we're also big fans of the Byrds and Tom Petty. So there's quite a bit of jangle finds its way into it as well.
Okay.
And then you find that we put odd little twists on things. So there's bits of it you think, yeah, that sounds a little bit psychedelic. So there's somebody once said to us, I would describe you as a psych beat band. And I thought, yeah, I quite like that. That's a nice way of describing us. When we were writing the album, we sort of got this idea that we'd like it to sound, if possible, as if it fitted in between Rubber Soul and Revolver, and that we kept that sort of theme in our heads. And even though they don't particularly sound, like Beatles songs, obviously we like melody and we like hooks, and so we tried to position it there. In, so if you found the album and it was in a store in 1965, 66, you wouldn't feel out of place. So that's what we went for. So it's sort of modern with a bit of a retro twist to it.
Okay, excellent. Well, we've got some tracks off the album. Before I let you go, get ready for the next day, which you're already in.
That's right.
Is there a certain one that you want us to play?
Well, like I said, Sunset Girl is one that seems to be picking up a lot of airplay, and a lot of people globally seem to be liking it. So Sunset Girl, I think, will be a great one, and it's a great summer sounding song as well. Okay, do you want to tell us about it a little bit? Well, the new album is called Through a Window. And what are your websites? How do we find the Gold Needles? Yeah, I mean, you can find us on all the usual social media, Facebook and Twitter and Instagram. But our website, dead easy to remember, is just www.thegoldneedles.com. You can find us on there, and it'll link you to all things that are Gold Needles related. Okay. Any plans on a tour for the States? Yeah, it would be lovely. It'd be lovely to do that. Yeah, in time, it would be something that we would absolutely jump at. So at the minute, we're concentrating. I mean, it's a strange one because we have quite an American sound, and it seems to be in the States where we're getting more publicity, more nice things said about us, and it wouldn't surprise me for us to come across to the States and play some gigs over there. I mean, it would be a dream for us to do something like that. One of Marty's things that when he signed his Gem Records was that he'd got a stable of sort of power pop type bands that were predominantly sort of New Jersey sort of based, and he quite liked the idea of working with a British band and trying to break in a small way a British band in the US, and fortunately he liked what we'd said to him, and hence the relationship between us.
Well, you know what? I think you should tour and sleep on his couch. You hear that, Marty? All right. Actually, I've never met Marty. I don't even know Marty, but he could thank me for that later.
Well, he's been incredibly helpful. He's phenomenally enthusiastic. He's got all sorts going on. He's got some great bands on the label.
Yes, he does.
Some of the bands that we rub shoulders with, like the Weaklings and the Gripweeds and the Buckheads, just fantastic bands.
Yeah, they're Jersey guys. I know a couple of the guys in the Weaklings. They're good people. All right. Well, I got to get moving because I got to talk to my in-studio guest. Say hi to Ricardo.
Oh, hi, Ricardo.
Hey, how you doing? I'm psyched to listen to your band.
So we're going to play Sunset Girl from you guys right now.
Fantastic.
And this, again, thank you, Mark. Thank you for delaying your sleep so you could talk to us over here in the States. Where we're at in Jersey, we're right between New York and Philadelphia. So we got music everywhere. Not to mention the Jersey Shore. So if you do come east, make sure you let us know and we'll come out and see you.
Brilliant. Yeah, I'd love to.
All right. Mark English of the Golden Needles. Thank you so much, my friend. Rock on.
Good stuff. Speak to you soon.
There you go. That's the Golden Needles right here on Rock On Radio. And this is their tune called Sunset Girl.
Girl, you know you can call me anytime. Yeah, you know you can come round anytime. 'Cause your love fills me up with joy inside. Let's just sit right back and enjoy the ride. She's got it, yeah, yeah, yeah. Sends my life into a world. She's got it, yeah, yeah, yeah. She's my sunset girl. Girl, you know you can ask me for anything. Yeah, you know I would give you everything. 'Cause I'm all wrapped up in your loving charms. Let's just lay right back in each other's arms. She's got it, yeah, yeah, yeah. She sends my life into a world. She's got it, yeah, yeah, yeah. She's my sunset girl. She's got it. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Sends my life into a world. She's got it. Yeah, yeah, yeah. She's my sunset. She's got it. Yeah, yeah, yeah. She sends my life into a world. She's got it. Yeah, yeah, yeah. She's my sunset.
All right. The Gold Needles right here on Rock On Radio, COARadio.com, SocietyBitesRadio.com. They're out of Hull, England. Currently signed to Gem Records.
That was good.
Gem, Gem, Gem Records. Later on, 8 o'clock, we have the Deuce Music Minute. We'll be featuring another UK artist. It's UK night here at Rock On Radio Art. Tammy. She's got they say that theirs were haunting. I think her vocals are rather haunting as well.
It's a British invasion.
I'm telling you, we're having our own.
Come back.
We're having our own British invasion. 609-241-7103. If you want to join the discussion tonight, which, as I said, as a disclaimer, this is about a movie called Unlikely Story, and it deals with the sensitive subject of suicide. So,
Lay it on.
how
me.
does this happy-go-lucky gentleman like you write such a dark play about suicide?
That's what I like. I love dark stories. I love there's just something really interesting and complicated about the human just being human. It's never just happiness, and there's always like although there's always a smile to us, but the inside there's always might be something darker. So yeah, I guess it's a short film. It's probably around right now. We got a rough cut that's around like 20-30 minutes.
Okay.
We got to cut it down for festivals, but it's a story that follows this woman. Her name is Syl. She suffers from, or she copes with depression, and she has suicidal tendencies. But the problem is her anxiety kind of keeps her from actually going through with it. So she meets this stranger on the internet who says he's a cannibal, and they make a pact that he will kill and consume her, and she gets to die and he gets to eat her. So what happens here is throughout the story, you're kind of like getting to know these characters. You're following their story as they got to know each other and where it ends up. So the thing here is that I don't want to give away is as she gets to know him, she starts to realize that like his interests are much more different and not really what her expectations were. So it does end in a it does end in a positive note. So it's definitely like a roller coaster ride of emotions for sure.
I gathered that from the trailer.
Yeah.
That I saw.
Yeah. So like I think like the seriousness of it, I start off the movie with a quote from Stephen Hawking, and it was primarily based on his idea of what how sometimes Stephen Hawking actually was going through depression, and he has a quote that's like, if you take every day and you can't laugh at yourself sometimes, even when you're at your worst, like what's the point of living? And so like it's the kind of idea of like that we can still deal with these dark things and and entertain ourselves with it. And so yeah, I mean we're tackling a very dark subject and a very heavy subject, so I was very, very responsible in my approach to it.
I just evoked that quote last evening. Actually, I said, I'm the funniest person I know. I laugh at myself every day, all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have to laugh. So, well, let's throw out there. Let's learn a little bit about you.
Okay.
First, so that maybe our listeners can put two and two together, kind of connect the dots a little bit
Yeah,
as
yeah.
to how we've arrived at Unlikely Story. You've been nominated for an Emmy.
Yeah, that was when I worked for a news show,
Okay.
and we did a special. Actually, I think COA was involved. Maybe like they might have gotten a credit,
I don't know.
but yeah, because
Have
it
to
was
ask Art.
related to the heroin epidemic in New Jersey
Okay.
and Philadelphia, and so there was a news special for the show, and we submitted it to the Emmys, and we were nominated. Didn't win, but we were nominated. It was
Okay.
cool.
Did you go to the party?
I did not. I ended up avoiding that. The funny thing is they charge you like hundreds of dollars for the tickets.
Even though you're a nominee?
Yep.
Yeah, you have to buy your certificate.
You have
too.
to buy your certificate.
My
and you have to
nephew
buy-
just won because he's like an Imagineer at Disney World in Florida, and he works on the Christmas Delight Parade.
Yeah.
And they won Emmys for that, except for the two main guys get it, but he can buy a certificate for like $200.
Yeah. Like when those guys are winning Oscars, they're still paying. They're paying for those awards.
Yeah. But when you're making $50 million for a picture, you
Really?
can afford that.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Yep.
Well, I could tell you this. I've been nominated for an Asbury Music Award like 7 times.
Yeah.
And because I'm a nominee, we get to go to the show for free.
Oh yeah, I did that too. That was a lot of fun. I was in a band called YJY for 2
Were you
years.
really?
Yeah. And
So you're a musician as well?
yes, that's actually where I started. I've been playing bass since I was 13 years old.
Oh, no kidding.
Then I got into guitar when I was 18. Wrote a lot of music. There was like in a few bands. Growing up, it was just music. I couldn't afford to make movies.
Well, where are you from? Right? No, you won't if you're a full-time musician.
Yeah, exactly.
Where'd you grow up?
I grew up in North Jersey, in Hudson County, in a city called Weehawken.
Okay.
So I was like really primarily middle class outside of more like urban neighborhoods. I was there for up until I was 14, and then I moved to Hightstown when I was 15. I went to Hightstown High School.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Right around the corner here.
Yeah. There's a lot of I thought
We're in his home turf, man.
Here, I'm going to actually the track that is around the track for the track team around the football field.
yeah.
In 1997, I don't know if they've gotten a new one since, but in 1997, I laid that down.
Get out of here, really?
Yep.
Oh man, I was forced to run that. I hate running.
That when you got the soft rubber, like
Yeah.
kind of like it's the real soft rubber
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah.
That track was awesome though.
The company I worked for was on strike, so I had a now ex-wife and 2
Yeah.
kids at home, and I had to get some money coming in.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so I worked for a temp agency, and the first thing they do is send me to Hightstown High School
Oh no way.
with a company that lays down the track.
Yeah. Oh
So
wow.
that is a dirty, filthy job.
Yeah.
They also did the track at Giant Stadium. when it
Oh,
was
really?
built, too. Yeah, the same company.
Wow.
Yep.
I don't think that's a legacy that Hightstown knows.
No, well, maybe not, or maybe that's why they knew it. All right, so you've been in film for quite a while, in one way or another.
Yeah, I had it's the same typical story of everybody that likes to get into movies. You make movies as a kid, you just play around with home videos, you watch a lot of movies, and it's the same typical story, but but I kind of there was a point where I kind of realized, this looks like it's very hard to make. So I went down the route of music. I mean, music and film has been equally a big part of my life. And so I started making music first because filmmaking was just a harder route to kind of try to make yourself, try to make it something that looks as good as what you see in the movies.
It's not easy.
Yeah, exactly. So I grew up, I was like, you know what, let me just play bass. And then I played bass. I picked up the bass because it looked like the easiest instrument to learn, just 4 strings and not really understanding what was going on. And then I kind of learned about it. And then I learned more about melody and where you can, that bass is more like the structure of it. And then the melody is like guitar, piano. So I picked up a guitar because I couldn't play the piano. The guitar player, and it was the closest thing to bass, because the strings. Got into that, and I started playing in bands, and then playing shows, and then that's where we come back to YJY at the Asbury Park Music Festival. That was a lot of fun. They do let you in for free if you get nominated, which is really cool. Yeah. So So what band? So when'd you go?
Well, they didn't have them this year, so I've been nominated every year since 2012, maybe
Oh wow, that's
11,
awesome.
11 or 12,
Yeah.
something like that. I'm the Susan Lucci of the Asbury Music. I've never won, but that's okay. It's fun to be nominated.
I'm trying to remember. There was this indie band that was like popular from the '90s. I forget the name of the band. They're from Jersey, but they were quote unquote based in New York, and they actually went to the event that I played at, or the event that we were nominated at, and it was really cool to see them. And then I think the guy passed a year later. He was I forget the name of the band, but they were so good and pretty legendary.
Trying to think.
The dude, he was like a bigger fellow, like really wide. Very nice guy. I forget the name of the band. Their music was like around the similar realm as the Feelies, like a power pop kind of sound.
Okay. So who scores your movies?
Usually, so with earlier projects, I've had friends and bands do it. I'm still doing it that way. So music is very important to the movement of your characters and the movements of your scenes, and it kind of helps the viewer get through it. And one of the most important things to me in a movie is sound and music, because that's like the thing that is pushing that guides you through a movie and puts you in the movie before even the camera would or the lighting, because you can shoot anything on a cell phone, but if it sounds bad, it's going to throw you out of the movie.
Well, that was going to be my next question. So
Yeah.
do you own all of your own equipment, or do you rent?
We rent it.
Okay.
Some of us, like my DP, Dean Luis, he's the guy that shoots all of my movies. He's one of my best friends. Grew up with him. We grew up together in Hudson County. We've been through so much. So he shoots all of my movies. Basically, he's got a few things that he owns, like cameras and stuff. But and with lighting and sound stuff, usually when you hire a sound guy, he charges you based on the equipment he brings with him. So I will pay a sound guy to come out and do help me out with what we're doing. So that's because I'd rather pay someone who does it professionally for something like that, because sound.
Sure, it's the soundtrack.
Yeah. Music. Oh, back to the composing. It's usually friends that are musicians. My friends that are in bands. So the guy who's scoring this movie now, his name is Zach. He's from a band called Spirit of the Beehive in Philadelphia. I have a couple of friends putting some sounds in here, my musical taste ranges. So it's there's some metal and there's some punk, but then there's I used Frank Sinatra in the trailer, so it's it goes. The music is all over the place, but it's definitely works with the tone of the movie. So yeah, that's basically where I get it stuff from.
Now, I don't know if you're going to agree with me or not here, but one of the things that I find about movie scores is that they are the most unnoticed part of the film.
Yeah.
Because in every part, if all right, let's say you're shooting a character driving in their car.
Yeah.
Even if there's nothing on the radio, there's some kind of music in the background.
Yeah.
And it might only be 30 seconds of it, or it might be, people really don't, it's kind of subliminal.
It's true.
They don't really pay attention to it.
It's true.
I mean, unless you've got a blockbuster like Titanic and you got to hear that song 7,000 times a day.
It's got to be a little more subtle than that. But yeah, no, you're right. Because what it does is, I can have that scene. It also sets the scene. It sets the emotion, sets the tone.
Bingo.
So
Yes.
it's this car, the amazing thing about music is it could be this guy driving a car. You can play happy, melodic, poppy music, and you're like, yeah, okay, cool. Or it could be something dark, and you're and sinister, and you're like, what is this guy up to? That's the beautiful thing about music. It
sets the mood.
Yeah.
Right. Where's he going, or what's he going to do?
Yeah.
Right. I mean, it is. If you're just tuning in, this is Rock On Radio. Our guest is Ricardo Lorenzo. He is the writer, the director, producer. You're like everything, right?
I did everything.
Of his film Unlikely Story. When's it?
We're trying to, we're still in post, and we still got a couple people doing some stuff for it, like audio. We're still editing some audio and coloring, and still got to score the rest of it. So I'm looking for like late fall into winter, maybe.
Okay. Well, that's not that far away. You know,
No.
it's already the middle of July for
Yeah,
for
I
all,
can't believe that.
right?
Summer's moving too fast.
Um, we're going to get into the intensity of the subject matter a little bit. But how do you go about, like our sponsor, Eileen Sullivan,
Yeah,
actress, she does parts here and there, whatever she gets,
yeah,
uh, I've even myself, I've been in a CNN special and in an investigation discovery thing where they use the back of my head for a scene.
that's awesome.
It's funny, right?
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Though.
And I enjoy that work very much.
Yeah.
It was like great.
People get paid lots of money just to be the back of the
Just to be the back of a head. I was there. I'm not kidding you. It took less than 15 minutes from the time I walked into the room for them to set up the camera shot. Because it was one of those where the guy kind of went, the track was curved a little bit, so it went around like a panoramic type of thing. And I walked out of there, and they handed me a check for like $50. Oh, this ain't bad.
Well, that was lucky. You had a lucky experience. So there's a lot of people who will like be extras in a movie and sit on set for 8 hours and not even be used.
Oh no, I was there for about 8 hours. I was there 8 hours,
Yeah.
but the whole
Do
thing,
they
my
still
whole
get paid?
part took
Yeah.
took
all that
15
matters.
minutes.
That's all that matters.
Right? Yes, I know that.
But it is a fun experience.
The
sometimes.
CNN special I was in. I was supposed to be a villager in a church that witnesses an assassination,
Whoa.
and I was right next to the guys that got assassinated.
Whoa.
So I'm thinking I'm going to be all over that. I
Yeah.
wound up on the floor, the cutting room floor,
Oh, no way.
but they asked me to stay,
Yeah.
and for that I wind up being in this film for like 30 seconds about the Pope last year on CNN.
Oh, no way.
And it's like, wow, I wasn't even supposed to be here for this.
Yeah. That's
But it was-
awesome.
But it was so much fun to see how they do that.
Yeah, it kind of the thing that's funny because like I love there's this kind of battle that I have with me because when you're making a movie, it takes the magic out of what you're seeing because you're seeing the reality of how it's done.
Right.
But I mean, there's a beauty to it because you're seeing the reality of it. But then there's also this excruciating like pain that I feel because I'm like, oh, the magic is gone. So I have like this like double kind of like idea. Like
It's a bitter,
it's a bitter like what
Bittersweet,
is that what
yeah.
you're saying? Yeah.
double-edged sword, so
Yeah.
to speak. Okay, so how do you decide? Who does your casting?
So this is the interesting thing. I do it.
Okay.
And the thing is, I don't do traditional casting. Like, I don't like sit down with somebody and have them read sides. The funny thing is, I didn't know that people do this. I thought it was a really weird way of doing it. But I recently read that this is actually similar to how David Lynch casts. He casts based on the people he meets. So like the people he meets are like parts of the characters that he creates. So when I'm quote unquote casting for a movie, it's based on the person. Like I'm already basing this character on the person that I met or that I know. It's usually I have a person in mind, or if I don't have that person in mind, like I'm not gonna like sit with you and have sides. We'll go have a cup of coffee and have a conversation. And based on how how your personality and the way you look or anything about yourself that I can see in the character. So it's like I like the two characters in this movie, they're not like traditional actors.
Okay.
So the person who plays the character of Syl is my girlfriend Jeanette Berman. She's not traditionally an actor. I had this idea of how her reactions to things and how she acts, and just kind of like use that and go with the character like that. So like instead of expecting her to kind of be a different person, she's using her personal experiences to kind of push this character. And the story is what's being used to kind of give you the idea of what's going on in this character's life. So I'm basically the way that I cast is, like I said, I just base emotions, tones, like I base personalities, all like the type of person you are before, based on how I would put you on screen or what character you'll be.
What kind of character would Art be?
Art?
Yeah.
Oh man,
He's a character himself. Look.
Yeah, I think
He's giving me that look. You're going to pay for this. Cole.
I would definitely cast you, but I think it would you definitely be like the I don't know. It's either I'm trying to think like it's either in the setting of like either a television studio where you're like working, you're just like this like real you're
The guy with the
quiet.
clipboard.
No, like you're like the engineer in the studio, like pushing all the buttons. But the thing is, like your character is just like you say ridiculous stuff. Like you just say really absurd things, and people are just like, "Oh yeah, that's just him."
Oh, that's me.
Is that you, really?
Yep.
Yeah, like that. And like the thing is, like that'd be great because it's sometimes there's things that your character says they could be obscene, but they're also very like educational. Like you would be like a philosopher, but a very like almost like explicit philosopher. You would say these things that are almost rude, but there's a nature to it. That's what your character would be.
Wait, he doesn't even know me.
See, he's a good. He's a regular Aristotle. I'll
Yeah,
tell you, he's the philosopher of our show.
you're that guy that's hidden in the like you're quiet, but then when you say something,
I'm quiet most of the time.
Yeah.
Well, now here, I'll show you a picture of our producer from the remote location in Afghanistan. Art, go to the Facebook event
what is this? What
for
is this
tonight
like?
and see Claire, who has posted a picture from the remote location in Afghanistan.
I love inside jokes, especially because I don't understand what's going on. But
Well,
it's
she is our
hysterical.
producer. She is not here. So
Yeah.
we were telling people that the last 2 weeks, she's going to be gone for the month of July.
Oh, okay.
So we were telling people she is in a remote location in a cave in Afghanistan. So she has decided to,
take a picture.
I guess she's going down amongst the villagers.
it's pretty bright for a cave. Maybe they have a sun down there. Like they
So-
have pretty bright lights on
Right?
down there.
Go to the Facebook event for Ricardo Lorenzo from Rock on Radio. Go to the Rock on Radio Facebook page, Danny Coleman's Rock on Radio 2, the number 2, and you can go find the event for this evening, and you can see producer Claire in her cavery.
That makes a perfect event photo too.
Done it though? Have to make that the next one. Actually, you can find us on Facebook, facebook.com/Danny Coleman's Rock on Radio 2, the number 2. You can find us on Twitter and Instagram at Rock on Radio, all one word, all capital letters, or just make it easy on yourself and go to the website, Danny Coleman's rockonradio.com, or the quick link, DCROR.com. And you'll find out everything about Rock on Radio. Our upcoming show schedule is there, our upcoming events, photos from the Christmas Bash, photos from everything. Producer Claire handles that and does a fantastic job. But if you're just tuning in, our guest is Ricardo Lorenzo, and we are going. Oh, I almost choked myself. And we are going to. We're going to take a quick break, and you got the Williams boy cranked up there by any chance?
What did you want to hear?
Yeah. This is actually the Williams boy was in here 2 weeks ago. He just released a new disc called Then and Now, which of course I said it was called Now and Then, but it's Then and Now. And he's got a tune on there. It's the first half of the record is a little upbeat and rocking, and not a little, a lot. And the second half is more of his slower acoustic style stuff, which is also full band. But this is a tune on his off the record called Yeah, 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 which is really a rocker. But stay tuned, because when we come back, we're going to talk with more with Ricardo Lorenzo, who is done Unlikely Story, a film. Now it's a short film.
Yeah.
Okay. How can we find it? How can we find a trailer?
Right now, the trailers have been. I only released it unofficially, so like you can't get to it.
Okay.
Unless you're friends
Can't get
with
there
me.
from here?
Yeah. But I think what's going to happen is we're going to be sending it out to festivals, and I'm definitely going to be sending it to local festivals. And I'm actually in talks with some festival programmers, so just talking about like what's the easiest way for me to like make their life easier. So like obviously I have to cut down the movie, so to be easy to be so it's programmable on a festival circuit.
Oh, okay.
And so I've been talking to them, and that's basically where you're going to be able to see the movies, festivals, and then when it does its festival run, I'm going to put it online.
There you go. Fantastic. All right. We'll be back with more from Ricardo Lorenzo and an unlikely story. But right now, here's the Williams Boy and yeah, 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 yeah.
Help me out, pull me back on the line. I've been down in the devil's garden, waiting for the rescue call. Baby, it's so hard living here all alone. Cut me out where before the night is gone. Save my soul from the fire. Yeah. Hold me up, hold me down, come back home to me. Cut me out way before the night is gone. It'll be just a little while. 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 Hold me out. Cut me out where before the night is gone. Save my soul from the fire. Yeah. Yeah.
The Williams Boy right here on Rock On Radio. Yeah. I like that too. Yeah. All right. Our guest tonight is Ricardo Lorenzo. He is the
That song should be a conversation with my wife.
he is the he
I'm on. Now I'm on.
he is the director, producer, writer of Unlikely Story. So your girlfriend is in the film.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that happens a lot in our home too.
See, there you go. Now, how about the
That's what I'm learning.
how about the guy that plays the
Should be my spouse.
how about the guy that plays the lead? What's
His
He
name
looks
is
familiar
Manny.
to me.
Manny Belliard, or I think his name is Belliard. He is from North Jersey. He's living in New York right now, but he
Okay.
started in comedy. He was actually working security for NBC, and he was a part of the Upright Citizens Brigade group
Oh, okay.
in New York.
Mhm.
And we had met. Actually, funny story. I kind of just told the story to a friend of mine today. We met because I was drunk on a couch and passed out, like not like blacked out. I was just in bed. Was taking a nap, and then I wake up and this guy's just sitting next to me. I'm like, "Who are you?" And then we just start talking, and all of a sudden we started watching SNL, and I'm like, "Who is this guy? Why?" And he told me about his life, and then when I wrote this movie 2 years ago. I was like, I had one person in mind, and I'm like, I need somebody else, and he fit perfectly as to what I was looking for in the character. And I called him up, and I'm like, "Do you want to be in a movie?" And he's like, "Yeah, I do want to be in a movie." So we met up. I gave him the script, and
It's that easy?
It was that easy for me. I guess I got lucky.
So, or we could just call him up and say, "Hey, we want to be in your next movie." Apparently, that's how you do it.
If you fit,
Be that easy.
if you fit
Uh,
the description of the character, yeah,
If the shoe fits.
Right.
exactly.
so, how do you do your scripting, so to speak, of characters? I mean, how do you develop the characters that you want to write about?
Yeah, so it's a really boring and long process, but basically just like I don't even. It takes almost a year before I even start the script, the actual script. Everything is just storyboarded, just following kind of a journey,
Right.
and through the journey, I kind of figure out like what is this person feeling or what is this person going to feel, and I kind of base it all on the situations that they're in and what kind of and that kind of like becomes like what their personality is or becomes in a way like that's and like there's different treatments that I go through, and so it's this these characters have been through a lot and have experienced more than what you see in the movie, but it's kind of a way to help me give these characters a life and make them more realistic and likable or dislikable. So yeah, and that process takes a very, very long time because sometimes I'll write something, put it away for weeks, months, come back to it.
So it's like writing music.
Yeah, it's a very long process.
I'm sorry, I was listening to you, but apparently, now, have you ever heard of the mentalist, the amazing Kreskin?
Yes.
He just called my cell phone. I'm not kidding you, 8 times, and I was texting him to tell him he wants to call the program tonight.
Oh, no way.
See?
I think he was on. I know of him because he was on Chasing News, which was a show I used to work on.
Oh, you used to work on Chasing News?
Oh, with Bill?
Oh God. Yeah.
Wow. Okay, we're not going to go there.
Yeah, you were part of the crew when we shot out at the river that day, like January when it was freezing, weren't you?
What year?
That was like last year or the year before, maybe.
I was
It
out
only
there.
like 2 years ago.
Yeah, I was there. I think I was done there.
Bill came out with this great idea to shoot this whole piece, which is a great piece. It just was like the wrong time of year to do it. We're standing out in this park on the river in January. The wind's blowing. It's like 2 degrees.
Oh my.
Yeah, I mean,
The CNN shoot would have been much better.
did you? Oh, you shot by the Delaware?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was right down the street from the studio.
Yeah,
we actually
yeah.
did some stuff in the studio, and then they went and wanted to do some outside shots.
Oh.
We went down
Yeah,
to
I
that
wonder.
big field there at the end of the road.
Yeah, yeah. I was there until 2017.
They changed that whole format now. didn't
Yeah, they did. They let a bunch of people go and then just kind of went and turned it into the Bill Spadia show.
This
for
could
now.
be the amazing Kreskin.
Yeah.
Hello, welcome to Rock On Radio.
Yeah, this is Kreskin calling. Who is this?
Ah, the amazing Kreskin. It's Danny Coleman, sir. How are you?
Well, are we on the air now? by the way?
Yes, you are live on the air on Rock On Radio. Say hello to my engineer, Art, and my guest, Ricardo Lorenzo.
What's going on?
How are you, Ricardo?
So-
Ricardo, by the way, who did you give this number to? I just called you at. Who's my office did you give it to? Because we don't have it anywhere here. You know?
See? Yeah, I gave. Go ahead. I sent you that text the other day, and it was included in that. But that's okay.
That's great.
Yeah, we have you
so-
now.
Well, you want to go back to? You want to start at 8 o'clock, or what's the situation?
No, we'll go right
Go on.
now. We'll go right now. We're good. We're good right now.
Sure.
Ricardo was excited
yeah.
when I said that the amazing Kreskin was going to call.
Yeah.
Ricardo?
Yeah.
It is Ricardo. Well, that's a great name, Ricardo. I want to
Thanks.
tell you something. That's a great name. A great name.
What are you gonna do
And,
for us tonight? What's going on?
He's got a couple shows coming up. Kreskin does. He's got a show at the Lizzie Rose.
Lizzie Run, yeah. Music Hall in Tuckertown, New Jersey.
Oh, nice.
That's going to be on the 27th on Saturday at 7:30. And I should be there sober, unlike the crew you got there. I'm only joking. Really, I'm only kidding.
No, you're not.
Hey, I gotta tell you
you're 100% accurate.
Only knew.
No. You know what I got to tell you? And I talk about interesting scenarios. People are calling me. There's a magazine. I'd like to say I read it all the time, but I just don't get to all the time. There's a magazine out called The New Yorker. It's been out for years. And this Monday, folks, you got to pick up this Monday's issue because I love satire. And by the way, when I say that, I don't say that casually, Danny. I love it when people satirize me. And this gal
who evidently is considered one of the 12 outstanding women cartoonists and receiving Lifetime Achievement Awards. She does cartoons in the Sirius magazine, and they appear on different pages that are typed. They're all typed stories, but it's cartoons have nothing to do with the stories. And guess what? There's one cartoon in the page, and who is in the title of the cartoon is The Ordinary Kreskin. And you will, when you look at this gigantic drawing, a very detailed drawing, you see this fellow who's wearing a white mask saying, "Watch me pull the lining out of my hat." And this guy is holding a top hat and reaching into it. And of course, people who know me, that some of the writers call me and said, "Kreskin, you realize the ingenuity of her satire." He is not, I'm not a magician. He is reaching into the hat and pulling the lining out of the hat because I don't read minds. I read people's thoughts. And where are people's thoughts? Around the band of a hat that's around someone's head. So that's what he's, is that crazy?
Wow. I would not have figured that out.
No, but I got such a kick out of it because and I compliment her. But anyway, so, you know, sometimes I end up in the most bizarre settings, such as a certain radio show that I almost didn't get to do tonight. I talk about bizarre settings. I want to tell you. Good to talk to you. I'm so glad we touched base because I knew that the mistake was in some other way. And so by the way, just let me explain, and I want those to know this. You're getting a package from me, and it's ticking. We just put in the bathtub for a day, and you'll enjoy the package. No, I'm only kidding. That's
Nice.
a terrible thing to say. Well, by the way, the musician, the conductor I was talking about last week was Paul Whiteman. That was the one who had.
Oh, okay. I knew you'd remember. I knew it. Well,
yeah. After I sober up, I got to tell you. And by the way, you are a pleasure to work with. I mean it. I got worried when I was dialing and got the answer in search. I thought, I hope everything is all right and what have you. But people are reminding me. He passed away not long ago. Do you remember a man by the name of Robin Leach? You remember who Robin Leach was?
Oh, yeah.
He had a show called The Lifestyle of the Rich and Famous.
Lifestyles of the rich and famous.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, they're reminding me because I guess there's something, a book written about it, what have you. And someone said to me, you know, there's this chapter, and I said, oh my God, are they including it? When he came to my house, this is when when the show was very famous, what have you. He came to my house and he interviewed me and all this jazz, and about half an hour later, he's leaving, and he said, Kreskin, the pleasure to be with you, and what have you. I said, you know, Robin, I got something that could be very dramatic for your show. You talked about my check test, which you and I, we discussed, Danny, last week, and what have you. He says, Kreskin, he said, we only spend, it's a 90-minute show. We spend a half an hour with each guest, so there isn't really time. What do you have in mind? And I told him. He said, what do you mean? You're willing to do something like that? I said, yes. He says, I think you're out of your damn mind. So he says, let me call my producer. So he's at my house. He calls the producer and says, you know, we're using Kreskin's half hour, I don't know, a week for a shoot show now. He wants to do something else, but he can't time it. So when Robin hangs up, he says that the producer says it's okay to do it. He said, Kreskin, I've worked with you through the years on guesting on television shows. If what you're going to do fails, we won't show it. And so I said, Robin, look me in the eye, goddammit, look me in the eye. He said, okay. I said, I've built my career on my integrity. You know, I have failed, as I said then, it was like 8 or 9 times losing my check. If I fail with this, you got to show it. I don't ever want it to be known that I altered things. He said, you have it. So picture this. A few weeks later, a car comes to my house. They drive me to New York, the Tavern on the Green. And, you know, there's famous restaurant there and everything else. I get out of the car. Now, there's about a dozen police cars all around and so forth. And I see them and I nod my head. And a gal comes out of a car and she says, Kreskin, she said, you're to travel with me for this test. It was a person who still writes for the New York Post. Do you remember Cindy Adams? She writes for the New York Post. You know, she does a column.
I think I remember.
So she
that
gets,
name, yes.
yeah, she still writes a weekly column, every other day for New York Post. So I'm in the car. She says, I understand I'm not to speak to you. I said, no, I'm only allowed to speak to the driver. And she says, he doesn't know what's going on. You just tell him where you want to go and what have you. I said, driver, can you hear me? It's a long stretch limousine. I thought, this is crazy. Just the two of us. The place could seat 14 people. He's out in the front. I said, driver, I'm going to tell you places to go to. You don't know where you're going to go. He says, no, no one's told me. I said, okay. I said, Cindy, start concentrating. What I had to do was to find Robin Leach, and the boundaries were that he was hiding somewhere in the entire city of New York.
Well, that's a piece of cake for you.
So anyway, the police are following me. And by the way, when the thing was all over, they were furious with me because they didn't know where he was. And I was taking them down one-way streets the wrong way. They're stopping traffic, which is coming towards us because they didn't know where I was going to turn. So I finally come to this beat-up building. It looked like it was condemned. And I get out of the car with Cindy, and the camera crew is in a car behind us because they wanted to follow me. And now they're getting close to me. We go in the building. There's an elevator. I go in the elevator. I see 8 floors. I slam my fist against the wall and say, I'm getting out of here. And I walk out. And they told me later on they didn't know what the hell was going on. I'm standing outside. I look at the building. And I says, wait a minute. That damn elevator had 8 stories. There's like 20 some stories in here. So we go back in. I said to Cindy, Cindy, follow me. The camera crew got in with me. I said, we're going up to the top floor. We go all the way to the top. We get out there. And it turns out it's a sports club, but it's closed because it's too early in the morning. And there's long hallways. And we're walking through the sports club. And I finally come to a gigantic Olympic swimming pool. And I'm standing there looking at the pool. There's nobody in it. I mean, Robin Leach is not, the thing is empty. And later on, Cindy Adams says, we didn't know what the hell was wrong with you, Kreskin. We saw you doing it. Finally, I point to a door at the other side of the pool. I said, let's go into that door. That's our destination. We go in, I open the door. There's people on the floor cleaning the floor. People clean the table. It's a gigantic bar. It's for the private sports club and what have you. And I walk through this whole gigantic bar, and I see a guy who's resting his head on the table like he's soused out. And there he's with his head poured on his arms on the table. I go over to him. I says, I think our voyage stops here. And I put my hand on his shoulder, and slowly Robin Leach sits up and says, get out the champagne I found in 46 minutes in the city of New York.
Wow. That's why.
But I'll tell you the background of this story, which is one of the most dramatic incidents I've ever told Danny in my career. Cindy is standing there and the camera crew, and Cindy says, Robin, we could have been here 5 minutes earlier. He says, what do you mean you got here? And he gave us the time. She says, no, Kreskin was outside there. We don't know what the hell was the matter with him. He's standing in front of the giant pool there, looking into it. And Robin Leach slams his fist down and screams, God damn it, get another champagne. And we don't know what's the matter. They bring it over, and Robin Leach says to us, Kreskin, when they radioed me and told me you were about to leave for the search, I thought, well, it would be dramatic if Kreskin finds me in a swimming pool. He says, I changed my bathing suit. I was swimming in it for 30 minutes, but I got waterlogged, got out, cleaned up, dried off, and cleaned up. Here I am.
There you go. All right, Mr. Kreskin, thank you so much.
I love talking. Listen, I know I talked a long piece, but I'm going to see you hopefully at the Lizzie Ross Music Hall in Tuckertown on Saturday, the 27th. If you're not there, Robin, I'm going to come and haunt you, and that's dramatic.
Well, you'll be there at 7:30 at the Lizzie Rose Music Hall, which is located at 217 East Main Street in Tuckerton, New Jersey. And then you have an appearance at the Garden State Yacht Club, which is at 33 Point Pleasant Road in Hopatcong, New Jersey, on August 3rd. So, that's a private event. I see. Never mind.
That's a private event.
Scratch that
but
one.
You know something? I look forward to seeing you. You are a joy to work with, and keep up the good work, honestly.
Well, I thank you very much. I consider that incredibly flattering high praise from a man of your stature and ability, sir.
Well,
you have a very big fan right here.
Well,
in Danny
to be,
Coleman's Rock
I'll
on
say
Radio.
to be continued, because I mean, we're going to see each other again. We're going to see each other. Oh my God. And I want to tell you that the gentleman that's on the air with you, what's his first name again? I like that name.
Ricardo.
Going on.
Ricardo, I got to tell you something. If ever I'm on the air and you're on the air with me, with Danny, just to protect us all, I dare not read his thoughts on the air.
That's more for my protection. Thank you.
Take care, Danny.
All right, Kreskin, the amazing
Okay,
Kreskin.
thanks,
Thank
Dave.
you, sir. Here
Thank
on
you,
Rock
thank you,
On
Dave.
Radio. There you go. We were supposed to have like a 15-minute phone conversation when I interviewed him last week.
Yeah.
We were on a phone. I had to stop him. He was because I had to go to I had a doctor's appointment at 5:15
Oh,
and he
man.
called at 4:30. I'm thinking, all right, I'll have plenty of time. I talked to him on the way to the doctor's, when I got to the doctor's,
While you were getting checked
while
by
I
the
was
doctor.
while I was waiting for them to call me back. Yeah, it's very funny. He's got some great stories. Our guest tonight is Ricardo Lorenzo, 609-241-7103. If you want to give us a call, please do so. But tonight we have the Deuce Music Minute, and then we're going to get back to Ricardo very quickly. This is a new segment here that we have on Rock On Radio, and it is called the Deuce Music Minute because it is from Deuce. There it is. Deuce Music. Deuce Music Management. I'll get it out. Over in the UK, and he's going to send us an artist every week to feature here on Rock On Radio. And I don't know why that's happening, but this week's artist is a young woman named Tammy. I cannot get this to. Nope, there we go. Not sure who that is. They hang up. Might have been Kreskin. Call him back. Yep, they're gone.
Kreskin calling back for another story.
Yeah. Right?
You're supposed to know that already.
You should have known that, yeah. But this is, we have a young woman from the UK. Her name is, my computer's not cooperating. I realize because it's not hardlined in anymore. But there we go. All right. Tammy, here she is. She's rather young, actually. She wrote her first song. Her name is Tamara Buckley, a.k.a. Tammy. She wrote her first song at the age of 13. Okay, she's 21 years old right now. And this is actually a topic that is somewhat near and dear to me. This is a tune called No Good For Me, and it touches upon narcissistic relationships. We've all known one. Somebody told me one time that all musicians are narcissists.
That makes sense. And politicians.
Politicians, I understand, especially the ones at grandstand.
Musicians, definitely. I mean, like it's a tough subject with musicians because musicians, I feel like there is narcissism in musicians.
Oh, a total narcissist.
Yeah.
But the way he said it at first, I was kind of offended, and then I was like, "No, he's right. They like attention."
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, definitely.
Right. So, okay. Well, we're going to play a tune that was sent to us by our good buddy Rob at Deuce Music. This is Rock On Radio. This is the Deuce Music Minute. And this is her song called No Good For Me. You could find her at TammyOfficial.com. Ready, Art? There you go. The Deuce Music Minute, No Good For Me by Tammy from London, England.
Staring at my phone. Don't know if your number's ever gonna show. Don't know where you're going, don't know where you go. Knowing that it's done, no, this isn't fun. Let the tears flow, make my mascara run. As it flows through my bones, I'm a loaded gun. 'Cause when you give, you're so good. And when you're bad, you're so bad. You're no good for me, and I'm misunderstood. Don't you see? don't come back to me. As you fell to sea, and I'm hoping you don't find your way somehow to see on the me. As you fell to sea, keeping an eye out, trying not to show. Closing up my clothes, not talking about you. When it screams and yells, that's exactly how I felt. Just when you think you're so good, and when you think you're so bad, you're not there for me. And I misunderstood, don't you see? Don't come back to me. As you fell to sea, and I'm hoping you don't find your way somehow to see on the blue as you fell to sea. You're not there for me. You're not there for me.
There you go. Tammy from London, this week's featured artist of the Deuce Music Minute. Brought to you by Deuce Music Management. You can find him at deucemusicmanagement.com. So, our guest tonight is Ricardo Lorenzo. I have to read you this. Jody, our sponsor, Jody Weber, wrote into the Facebook page. Great show so far. Your guest is sharing lots of good information. Love the Williams boy. So, Jody's listening in. Thank you, Jody. Jody likes your information.
Thank you, Jody.
There you go. So, 609-241-7103. If you want to give us a call, you can. We'll give you something. We have Rock on Radio tchotchkes. We have
Jack Furlong CD.
Jack Furlong CDs. We have what else? We have the Rock on Radio lube.
See, everybody should give us like a case of CDs because they get a long run out of that, man.
Jack Furlong gets advertising every week. You can find him at jackfurlongmusic.com. I think it is, right? We're Jack Furlong on Facebook.
Did you say Rock on Radio Lou? Like you have your own bathroom that you're giving away?
No, lube.
Ah,
We have Dial hand lotion.
ah,
That is the official lubricant of Rock on Radio. But okay, so if you're just tuning in, this is Rock on Radio. Our guest tonight is Ricardo Lorenzo. He is the producer, director, screenwriter, chief cook and bottle washer of Unlikely Story.
yeah,
Okay,
cat wrangler.
the cat wrangler. Yeah, herding cats is dealing with artists and musicians. Creative people in general are very difficult, I find at times,
Yeah,
to get to pin down.
yeah,
you know?
definitely. I think, but I feel like that's usually a thing that you see more with musicians than anything else. Like musicians are always like that's why their managers are like almost their parents. I
Yeah,
feel.
yeah, I think you're right
Yeah.
in a lot of ways. Yeah, but at least probably over the last, well, I don't know. I can't even say.
Well, I
'Cause-
feel like nowadays musicians kind of have to like be better at their at like figuring out, being like the producer, being the social media person.
Being an indie artist,
Yeah.
means indie artist.
Yeah.
There are no more A&R departments
Mhm.
or I mean, I find now that some of the larger acts, they have two people. They have a PR person and they have a road manager. And
Yeah.
that's pretty much it. Okay.
Unload and load your own equipment.
So while we were listening to the Deuce Music Minute,
Yes.
Art was asking you some questions, and they were very good questions
Yeah.
that we would like to get to. Go ahead, Art. Ask them again, or do you remember what they are? Because I forget. No, but
Well, it was
go ahead.
was the movie based on fiction or based on true events?
Yeah, and then I think it was where'd you get the idea and stuff like that.
Right.
Yeah, no, I mean, like the thing about like art in general is there's always some sort of there's always going to be something personal in my projects. I mean, whether or not like I talk about those personal things, it's different. So yeah, I mean, but it is a fiction movie, um, and I primarily based it on things that have happened in my life. Uh, but the idea was inspired. It's a weird connection here, but it was inspired by When Harry Met Sally. And the reason why it was inspired by When Harry Met Sally is because the whole movie is set on one idea: is that men and women cannot be platonic friends without there being any tension. And so the funny thing is the movie tackles a really good topic. That's a funny topic, and but the thing is, nowadays I think back then it was a love story and it tackled on that topic and they fall in love and whatever happens. But I was trying to tackle on the idea that you can have a platonic friend without there being any romantic interest, and that was how the idea started. And then now it's like what you're now trying to think of situations that put these people together. And I mean, you could do anything, but trying to think of the most ridiculous, absurd way that these people are getting together and meeting, and that's how it got to that. There's different things that I tackled on, but that fit the best.
So along those same lines, so you write this story, which you said is fictional,
Yeah.
but how do you come at a topic as dark as suicide?
Yeah. I guess the thing is, growing up and having like depression and like having family members that go through with it, you kind of like you see the ins and outs, the days, the good days, the bad days, the normal days. So I have had experience with friends that have ended their own lives, and I actually dedicated the movie to my cousin who ended her own life in 2015. Just I might be wrong, maybe 2012. And I mean the reason why is she also had like a really weird dark humor like I did, and we would laugh at really weird stuff together. And so you know, tackling the subject, it's definitely something that's like really close to me, and it's definitely something that I've encountered and I've lived through and I've seen, and so it's trying to I think the thing that I'm not seeing a lot in movies that some people are it's slowly making its way out, and there are movies out there, but I feel like people are kind of confused about the idea of what you can and what you cannot tackle in art, and I think that's getting lost, and so people are not or people are afraid to tackle topics based on the idea of they're afraid of the backlash, and I think that the only way if there's a backlash, I think you're supposed to have like a conversation, and you're not necessarily like the reason why you do these things is because you want to have a conversation. So when you do something, you shouldn't necessarily be afraid to do it, but just be able to when somebody comes at you with just whether they're disagreeing with you or anything like that, you shouldn't be afraid of it. You should turn that into a conversation.
Conversation is the key word there. Not an argument, not a mudsling, not a if it's a spirited debate, that's one thing. But it doesn't have to be nasty. It doesn't have to be resort to name calling and everything else.
Yeah, exactly. But I think the thing is like what we don't realize is when you're having these conversations, like the people that may come at you from anger.
Right.
And so there is going to be mudslinging because you've been angry before and you know what that's like. So there will be, but your job is as the creator is not to throw mud back, but to start a conversation.
And that's exactly right. Somebody has to be the bigger person, and you know what I mean. Not argue it out,
Yeah.
right? But stick to your beliefs. Right?
Yeah, exactly. And like, so I think when I tackled this movie, especially, like I reached out to a lot of organizations, and just to kind of like make sure that I'm doing something and not making it offensive, or to like, I mean, that you can be like make sure that it's if it's offensive, that it at least makes sense to the core of what it's all about. And so, I reached out to, and I'm like, this is it. This is my script. This is my movie. And a lot of people had a lot of things to say. They told me a lot of things to be careful of what I do, be careful what I say. Things to add on, like, small things, and make sure, like people be sent, like I can make jokes, but also be sensitive about the topic.
Well, it seems like you have already had a conversation with people around you. You know what I mean? On
Yeah.
what would be taboo, right? Not so
Yeah,
taboo.
I think the thing is, like, I tend to tackle topics that are, usually they're. So I before this movie, I worked on a movie called Transparent, and it was before the show came out. It was in 2012 when I was in grad school. I made a short film about a little girl going through puberty, alongside her sibling who was transitioning from female to male. And so, I made sure that when I wrote this movie, I had lots of conversations with people from that community, so that I didn't really make, so it didn't come off as offensive, or that it's not true to the core. And so, there were a lot of conversations that were negative and positive, but
What do you do when true to the core is offensive?
when true,
Because somebody's always going to be offended.
yeah, I just think that I think you have to, like, true to the core. Like, I think you have to be, you can do it, but you have to be open to the idea that, like, a discussion is going to be had, and that that you may have done something, or I guess, like, if true to the core may be offensive, but I think that you just have to be, I guess, if you're going to put it out there, you have to be ready for the backlash, and you have to realize that that's going to happen. And I think that there are things that are said that shouldn't be said, but I think instead of mudslinging, I think you have to have a conversation with that person, because when you start attacking that person starts to get defensive, and they're going to attack back. And so then you have, like, it's basically just primal instincts. You're all just like, cavemen fighting each other instead of just having a conversation. Like, if there's people out there who do stuff that, that I don't agree with, I think that I don't think it's necessarily about fighting them. It's about a conversation.
Now, let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
Okay. One of the things that I talk about privately, and I've talked about it on the air, is this is America.
Yeah.
Okay. We all have First Amendment rights, freedom of speech, which, of course, that amendment was written so you could say, hey, King George, you're taxing us unfairly, and not get the stocks or beheaded.
Yeah.
Which, of course, over the years has been twisted and turned and so on and so forth. A sensitive topic. Let's take what's a sensitive topic in this country?
So many.
Exactly. Now,
Pretty much anything you say. No.
let's
But
say
I don't think there's anything wrong with it being a sensitive topic.
no, I don't either.
Yeah.
But my point is that, okay, let's say, all right, now we would all agree, and I'm going to use this, okay, and hopefully nobody edits this out.
I don't edit.
But no, not you. I'm talking about taking the clip and uses it against me somewhere at some point, some way.
That's gonna happen.
It's quite possible. Let's take the topic of racism.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, we will all agree, I would think, that racism is not a good thing.
Yeah.
Okay. But I have that right as a man, or any woman, child, anybody could stand up and say, yes, racism is not good.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, let's say the next person can't stand up and say, well, I think racism is good. Now, why is that? That's their feelings. That's their opinion. That's their thought. Why are they demonized for the same thing? Now, as long as they're not going out killing people,
Yeah.
you know what
Because
I
that
mean?
thought is out of the mainstream.
But
Well, I
that's-
feel like there's something ignorant and hateful about, like, being a racist, and
Of course.
there's things, but like if a person gets up and says that, I mean, the thing is, the truth here is not necessarily people don't ever get up and say I'm racist. People do things that they're not aware of that are racist, and I think again, when someone does it, I don't think the way that you handle it is screaming at this person. I think the conversation is like you would like. I think of it like it's like when you confront a child.
It
When
should
a
be an
child
aha
something-
moment, right?
It should be it. That's what it should be. Aha! But the problem is you're arguing it. You're fighting with the person, and I understand where the anger comes from because like when you grow up and you're living a different life. You're living a life of like you're coming from a different time, a different area. Like I've dealt with a lot of stuff around here, but I don't think it's necessarily that you come out and you argue. I mean, I also don't think like I think that if somebody has like ideas that may come off as racist, I think it's mostly like, do you understand that this is racist because this and this and this? And that's not the discussions that it's happening. What's happening is you're racist, you're terrible, you're a horrible human being. And so it's like when you're getting the finger pointed at you, you're like, oh God, what did I do? Like, what am I doing? And then it's really just about educating people. And
See, I have to, yeah, and it is all about educating people. But I really believe like racism was a generational thing. You know what I mean? Like my parents, who were in their 80s, just looked at it differently. You know what I mean? Than I do. you
Well,
know?
exactly. It was a different time, and I understand. You're 100% correct. But okay, so how does any of that, not racism, but how does any of that come into this movie with such a dark topic?
well, I mean,
And just curious, what did your girlfriend say when you were like, "I'm making this movie about suicide, and I want you to be the neurotic
she
one"?
thought
that
I
wants
was
to kill
crazy.
herself?
She's an ex-girlfriend.
She thought I was crazy. She still thinks I'm crazy. I tell her these crazy ideas, and she's like, the first thing she says is no, and then I'm just like,
When he makes his
But-
first $10 million, that'll all change.
but then I go, but
And pay
I
for
mean,
my Oscar.
I really hope that if I do make $10 million, that she's still there to say no. But I think the thing is the reason that it goes back to this conversation is because again, depression and suicide, mental health is a very sensitive topic in this country right now. And I mean, I'm not trying to get political here, or I'm just saying that like it's just like, so you have to be very sensitive on how you tackle this subject. And again, like, this movie itself it could be taken the wrong way, but I think that I justified all the actions that are needed to proceed with this movie. For instance, like, here's a good example. Somebody said, make sure your movie has this constant reassurance from the character that's like, where's your family? Have you gone to get help? Like things like that. Like, be sure that he's, if he's a character that is caring for this person, maybe these are discussions they should have. And so these are discussions that they have. They do talk about the fact that, she's feeling, how she started to get this way, and or like, what pushes her to what pushes her to get to this point, or even like, just different topics like, have you tried to get help? Have you reached out to anybody? What does your family think? What do your friends think? These are conversations that I think that you should be having with people who are going through these situations. And these are the conversations. This is how you show the sensitivity of mental illness and how we proceed. But again, it's in the story is like, okay, but this person is supposed to eat her. It's like, yeah, that's the story because it's still supposed to bring this like weird dark touch to it.
As he laughs. At least it wasn't maniacal.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, the thing is, like, there's a lot of like topics that we're afraid to tackle, and I think that you should go for it. And I think I'm not like, I don't want you to be like overtly offensive with a topic, but a topic should be discussed and treated in a sensitive light, whatever your story is. Like,
How many stories or plays or short films? How many have you written?
I mean, written.
Or how many?
Too
have you-
many.
How many have you produced?
Produced. I produced 4 or this is my 5th, so 4 of them.
Okay.
And I did one. My first one I did tackled suicide as well, but it really followed along. It was like depression and insomnia. And then the second one tackled loneliness, and it wasn't like too controversial or anything. But then the third one, which was transparent, it tackled 2 subjects that I no relation to, but I think that I really wanted to show these 2 things going on together.
Right.
And I mean, I didn't want to, and I made sure to talk to the right people to make sure that I wasn't doing anything like that was insensitive.
Have you been in any? Have your films made it to any festivals? or-
Transparent did international festivals and
Oh,
around
good.
here as well. Yeah, so I've been as far as like South Carolina, North Carolina. It went to a festival in Florida, I believe, New York, New Jersey. It was at the Garden State Film Festival.
Oh, okay.
I did, and internationally, I did. I think it was in Amsterdam. It was a transgender movie festival in Amsterdam, which was like I was super proud of. I was like, that's awesome. I think they even paid me like $15 for it.
Whoa! Plus shipping and handling.
Yeah, but I was like, I never. It was cool because I never made money off of a movie, so I was like $15, so that would buy me lunch or whatever.
Yeah, why not? You don't have it stapled to your like desk
To
to the office wall.
No,
you know?
I would have printed the PayPal amount. So it was through computers.
Here's a shock, Art. There's a bar in Wyoming that I've been to. There's a bar in Wyoming called the $1 Million Cowboy Saloon, and underneath the bar they have a real thick clear coat on
Yeah.
the bar, and on the wood and underneath the bar, in the bar is $1 million in silver dollars.
Wait, really?
Yep.
Wow.
Yep, it's the $1 Million Cowboy Saloon.
And nobody's
$1 Million
ever tried
Cowboy
to steal
bar, it's
it?
called. Well, they can, once they chip the bar away. I mean, the urethane has to be,
That's
like
true.
a half-inch thick.
I mean, you'd be surprised. People are desperate.
the bar stools are saddles.
Oh, that's awesome.
That's kind of cool.
That is really cool.
You walk in, there's like an 8-foot stuffed grizzly bear in the front door. In the
Huh.
thing. It was actually a nice bar, and it was the first time I've ever gone into a place of business
Yeah.
where there's like what you would think is a coat check, but the sign reads, "Please check your firearm at the door."
Oh my God.
It was in Jackson Hole, Wyoming.
Yeah.
I'm serious. You're looking
I
at me
believe
like
you. No, I believe you. Actually, I would have think that would have been in where do they have like the Harley Davidson festivals and someplace in the
Oh, in
Dakota.
Sturgis in South Dakota. I've been
Yeah.
there
South
too.
Dakota.
I've been there too. If you're just tuning in, this is Rock on Radio. I'm Danny Coleman. Engineer Art is here. Producer Claire is in an undisclosed location in the cave in Afghanistan.
Camouflage.
She's in camouflage. She's in something more.
You're rocking that camouflage, Claire.
And our guest is Ricardo Lorenzo, who has a film coming out called Unlikely Story. Art, you have some music queued up there, buddy? What do you want to surprise us with?
You know, Joe Zook played at the Lead Festival.
He did. All the local, a lot of the local acts played there yesterday. Oh, we got a phone call. We can take the phone call while you're doing that. Hello, welcome to Rock on Radio. Who is this? Hello? Oop. Got disconnected. Hello, welcome to Rock on Radio.
It's an undisclosed location. I keep having a bad signal.
Well, you got to turn your computer down there, Claire.
It's off. It's off. I just didn't know. The first time wouldn't go through.
Can you ask
You know,
those guys?
Signal's bad out here in Afghanistan.
Ask them to raise their left leg so we get a better connection.
Yeah.
You have
Oh, that sounds terrible.
cell phone signal in Afghanistan in a cave in an undisclosed location in a cave. In
Only when the
Afghanistan?
Taliban lifts their left leg, or points east.
Yes. No. You like my camouflage?
Either
Very
you're
hot here, though.
either you're pretending to be Patricia Hearst, or you joined the Taliban based on the pictures that you have posted from the cave in Afghanistan.
It's cold here.
Oh, you're in North Jersey.
No,
Or
Afghanistan.
with my ex-wife, one or the other.
No thanks.
So, producer Claire, have you been
Yes.
listening to the program? I see you've been posting things in our Facebook event. Thank you
Yeah.
very much.
Of course. Here and there. I get spotty reception, so
Okay.
I have other things, other important missions to accomplish in the meantime. But I have been listening. And actually, Art, your dad was a great guy. I remember meeting him at the walk. He was a really sweet man. And I'm sorry about last week. So I couldn't get the message out. I couldn't come there because I'm stuck here. But I would have been there if I could. So,
Serving our country in Afghanistan.
Well,
a
they have
good
what?
thing. I said you're serving our country in Afghanistan.
no, I'm not that noble.
No?
I'm just stuck in a cave.
I need a copy of God Bless
Stuck in a cave on
America.
vacation. Vacation in Afghanistan is cheap.
You're dwelling in a cave.
Yes, I'm a cave dweller.
Yes. Yes, you are, Claire.
I'm an artist, so I'm writing on the walls too. So that 1,000 years they will see me.
Wow.
It's very important. I'm
With-
preserving history. I'm making history.
Are you using
Okay.
crude caveman tools like coal and sticks?
Reciprocating saws and chisels.
Whoa.
All right. When you will be returning in August, maybe?
Maybe. Yes. August
Maybe.
sounds like a good time to return from Afghanistan. So yeah,
Okay.
I'll be
If
I'll
not
be
by
here
then,
and there
we'll
in,
have
in
the,
August, hopefully. I think
we'll have the
August 4th
Claire-
I'll be there.
we'll have the Claire hologram tour.
Claire hologram tour. You should put one right there. Can,
Obi-Wan, we need your help.
Yeah, right.
Obi-Wan.
can they? Actually, we have a YouTube link tonight, don't we? Yes or
We do,
no?
yeah, we do.
Okay. If they wanted to watch Claire's Empty Chair, they can go
They can
to.
watch Claire's Empty Chair.
And how can they do that?
That's a great show name. Claire's Empty Chair.
They can go to coaradio.com and click on the YouTube link.
There you go. All right, Claire. Well, thank
This is
you.
here, yes.
Thank you for calling in, and thank you for updating the event. And
problem.
thank you for everything you do for the program,
Thank
whether
you.
you're here or not. Did I get all the
Yeah,
sponsors?
Thank you.
Whether you're here or working remotely.
Did I get all
I
the
think you
sponsors in
did
tonight?
okay.
Okay, good.
No, she would have been
I
texting
think
you.
you did.
I know. I don't have any texts. You forgot this one.
Yes.
No hate mail?
No,
Well, and
yeah.
Ricardo, you're doing a good job, Ricardo. Looks like
Thank
a good
you.
movie. So I posted about it on several things. There's an article out there for you, and
Oh,
the
awesome.
movie.
Thank you.
There you go.
Appreciate that.
All right. Thank you, Claire. Rock
So, all right,
on.
I'll talk to you guys later.
All
Okay, take care.
Bye. Producer Claire calling in from a remote location in Afghanistan.
I don't think she's gonna want to come back. She'll be busy painting art.
That nice dry hot air there.
Yeah. I mean, if she's in a cave though, it's got to be cold down there.
It's probably a bit damp.
1,000 years from now, they're going to find her artwork and they're going to be like, what? Who? What is this?
How did you decipher this?
How important is that to you, by the way? Legacy.
Legacy?
Yeah. Is it, do you want one of these films? What is your goal? What is your goal of being a filmmaker? Now, like we talked about earlier, from the time I started playing the drums when I was 11.
Yeah.
And at 11 and a half, I like this. At the age of 12, I got my first Led Zeppelin album and it was over. So at that point, at the age of 12, I wanted to be a rock star. Matter
Yeah.
of fact, somebody in my high school yearbook, you know how the yearbook committee does it, underneath my bio put wants to be a rock star. I didn't submit that because I asked everybody
Yeah.
to submit,
Oh wow.
So I've always wanted to do that. Of course, I went out the window for various reasons.
It's a very
Now I
difficult
just
life.
talk to rock stars, But the whole thing was that that was the end game. I
Yeah.
wanted to play in a band. I wanted to be a musician. I wanted to make music. I wanted to make people happy.
Yeah.
What is yours?
Yeah, I think it's interesting because when I was a musician, that was the plan. That's what I wanted to do. Was I wanted to go that route. But then, like meeting people that are actually there, yes, please. Like, meeting people that are there and living it, I realized maybe this isn't the lifestyle for me. But film, I haven't really thought about a legacy. I think the way that I see it is I'm going to create this art, put it out there, and I guess whatever happens, however it's picked up, however it's you know received, like I'm just waiting to see what happens with that. I mean, obviously, like I would love, for this to be a career. I would love for this to be my life, but it's almost nearly difficult for filmmakers to make a career out of just making their own art. And I think like I want to be able to. I guess the best way to put it though is I want to make more movies, get features down, and I want to be able to get to a point in my life where I have enough experience that I can teach it. Like I
Okay.
want to teach film, but the thing is, like, I don't want to go and teach it right now. I don't want to be one of those professors that don't really like experience it and just kind of teach. So like I want to teach filmmaking from the perspective of like the from the perspective like the physical aspect of it, like creating it and being out there and doing it. But I also want to teach like the artistry of it, and like the writing behind everything behind the writing, and you know go into the techniques that you can do and things like that. Because I went to film school, and I mean I loved film school. It was a great experience for me. But I think there's a lot of things there as technology is growing that we're not teaching. We're still trying to teach this old, like they're still trying to teach like this old aspect of it where it's like you have to have the most expensive camera, you have to have the most expensive everything, like you have to do this. And instead of like teaching people like you have to do it, I think it's more about like find your comfort ground, find what you can do. If you don't want, like if you're a person that doesn't like to do like casting, or figure out what's your way of casting, and sometimes it means that you have to learn it. But I think that I want to teach film school in a way that it's more about experience and feeling more than like industry.
Technical.
Yeah.
This is what you do.
Yeah.
This is what you do. Okay, I get it. Well, if you're just tuning in, this is Rock on Radio. Our guest is filmmaker, director, producer, screenplay writer, or screenwriter, or we call him everything.
Something.
Ricardo Lorenzo, and he has a new film coming out, Unlikely Story. But right now, you have Joe Zook queued up.
I do. Caledonia.
Oh, ooh, that's a long one.
458.
Oh, that's all? Oh, okay. I was thinking it was longer. All right. We're going to play. Joe Zook played the Lead Festival when Joe was in here last month. He talked about that. It was Law Enforcement Against Drugs is what LEAD
It
stands
was
for
actually this weekend.
at Mercer County Park. And I think it wraps up tomorrow, right?
Does it wrap up tomorrow?
Or was it today? I know it started Thursday night,
Might have been
Friday,
today.
Saturday, and I think it wraps up either today or tomorrow afternoon. But either way, it's at Mercer County Park, which is in West Windsor, New Jersey. Today, there was a whole slew of Trenton bands on there. Ernie White's Rock and Roll Heaven, Joe Zook, Laura Cheadle made the trip up, and Papa Cheadle plays with Joe Zook from time to time. Trying to think of who else was there. Oh, Dee Dee and the Dive Bombers.
There's a few
Jerry
more
Monk
too.
played
Jerry
today
Monk.
with Paul Plummerai.
Yeah. No, they were all there, man.
They were all there, a whole Trenton connection today. But this is Joe Zook. He's got this new album. It's called Good Morning Blues. And this is his version of Caledonia.
She's my baby. I love her just the same. Ain't that a woman, Caledonia is the name. My mama told me this day was gonna come. Look at you, had my fun. Hey, what you doing going down my mama? I'm going down Caledonia's house right now. I want to talk about this stuff. Caledonia, look at you, you're so hard. La, baby. Crazy about love on the Caledonia. Hey, mama, man's got pretty feet. Long legs have nothing to eat, but she's my baby. I love her just the same. Crazy about that woman, Caledonia, Caledonia. You make me get so hard. I love you. Lord, I love my baby. Crazy about that woman, Caledonia.
Joe Zook and the Blues Deluxe off of their new album, Good Morning Blues, Caledonia. Right here on Rock On Radio. Our guest this evening is Ricardo Lorenzo. And
Hello.
there we go. That's better. He is the creator of a film called Unlikely Story. One of the things we do, we were talking while that music was airing. We were talking amongst ourselves in studio, and one of the things that we do here at Rock On Radio, if you would like to be a sponsor of this program, all you have to do is make a donation to the City of Angels. Doesn't matter how much it is. Just make sure you go to cityofangelsnj.org. That's cityofangelsnj.org, and put down that you want to, make a donation. And when you make the donation, just put in the memo or the notation that Rock On Radio, and we will give you 30 days of sponsorship. Now, remember, at the end of this program, Art will edit this, get it down to exactly 2 hours, ship it off to me, and I will send it to my affiliates, which are located in the United States, the UK, and Canada. So you are not just getting, plus all you re-air the program once a week.
Several times.
Okay. So you're not just getting one show for whatever you donate. You are getting a week's worth of programs somewhere in the United States.
Well,
And
we air this every Tuesday night as well, but it plays throughout the week. You know what I mean? as
there you
well.
go. See? So you're going to be on air all the time.
That's
Now,
awesome.
you were just telling me, though, while that song was on air, that you have actually, you guys did something nice as musicians.
Yeah.
With the City of Angels.
Yes. Oh, okay. Yeah. So when my band YJY released our first EP, we pressed a couple of records, but we pressed for each other, and then we put up one for an auction. And the auction, whoever won the auction, that money, the proceeds for that, we gave to City of Angels. We donated to City of Angels. And that was
That's awesome.
a good time.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
See? It's all about the City of Angels. Art. We're taking care of you.
Oh yeah.
Well, you guys, tell everybody what the City of Angels does.
Well, we help, guide people with addictions into treatment. We try and take those barriers down, that might be there for them. It's a lot easier today to get someone into treatment than it was, 10 years ago.
Yeah.
It took, a couple of weeks, and when someone's ready, they're ready now. They're not ready 3 weeks from now. So that whole process has gotten better, but we're there to support them, help people get into treatment. Most of the times they don't have insurance, so it doesn't matter anymore. We could still get you into treatment if you don't have insurance. And we're there to support their families. I mean, while your loved one's out getting, their help, you should be educating yourself on the disease of addiction and what you can do to help your loved one.
And there you
Perfect.
go. See?
Yeah.
I see also that you were trying to raise, what did you have? How were you trying to raise funds for this movie? And were you successful? I mean, obviously you're somewhat successful because the movie's going to be released soon.
Yeah. So we started off on Indiegogo, and then I didn't have any more time, so I just started a PayPal. It's called the PayPal Pool, and pretty much people can just contribute to that, and they'll still get. If you contribute to the PayPal Pool, you'll still get the contributions from that we're offering through our Indiegogo page. So I mean, that's probably something I can share on the event page, because talking links is just painful. Yeah, so it's probably something I can share it on the event page. If you're part of it, then you'll see it, I guess.
How long did it take you to make this movie?
2 years.
Okay.
2 years was part of the writing process. And then all of a sudden to get pre-production. I think the moment that we first shot, I was just like, holy.
Where was it
moly.
shot?
We shot it all throughout the state. I did a lot of local, so it was like shot in Princeton. We shot in bunch of places in Ewing. We shot in Point Pleasant Beach on the boardwalk. And in my apartment and in my friend's house. But it was really cool because a lot of the people in Ewing were super supportive of what we were doing, and they helped us out a lot. So I'm very grateful for that, because they, without them, we wouldn't have a movie.
Ewing.
Ewing, good old Ewing, New Jersey. Yeah,
New Jersey. Yeah.
it's a great place.
Actually, Ewing is, it's kind of neat. I mean, there's so much up there. West Trenton,
Yeah.
as it's called. It's
Yeah.
really Ewing Township. And, the airport's up there, Jones Farm. It's a prison, but it's a working dairy farm.
Yeah, I'm really interested in learning about that, because I think it's pretty cool to put people like in prison to work, to do these things, to give them activities to do it, instead of just sitting in a cell.
They
kind of
put
rotting.
Jones Farm is minimum security. I used to,
Yeah.
as a UPS driver, I used to deliver. That
Okay,
from time
cool.
to
So you
time.
kind of know what's going on there.
And but it's very, it's for like tax evaders. And,
Yeah, okay.
it's a
Yeah.
very minimal
Oh,
security
okay.
prison, but it is a prison nonetheless. But the prisoners have a lot of freedom
Okay.
there, as well as working the dairy farm.
Do they live there, or do they get transported there?
No, they are housed there.
Oh,
as well,
really?
yeah.
Wow.
Yep.
That's interesting.
And they're housed in a very large room. I don't even think it's individual cells.
Yeah.
So, from what I recall, I've fortunately never been to prison.
That is a fortunate thing.
But right, this is true. But over the years, I've now that with a stark comparison to, I used to
Yeah.
also deliver Trenton State Prison,
Oh, boy.
which is not a fun place to
No.
be ever, anywhere. So yeah, but yeah, I mean Ewing's got a lot of neat places. Was the majority of the movie shot outside or inside?
Outside, which is really funny because I hate shooting outside. But I kind of went.
I've got to imagine lighting is the biggest challenge.
Oh, it's such a challenge, and then weather permitting is always issues. I just went with this one. I just said, you know what? If it rains, it rains. Just go with it.
How many hours of B-roll did you have?
We probably have like 20 hours of footage.
Wow,
Yeah,
for a half-hour film.
Yeah.
Now, for those of you who don't know, B-roll is
B-roll. No,
is B-roll.
it's just clips like footage from the movie that you use. I guess we call it. I guess it's B-roll would traditionally be considered the footage that is posted over people talking, like over a talking head.
Right.
So I guess we call it like dailies or assemblies. Well, actually, no. The assembly is the rough cut. The dailies are the things that you. It's like dailies and rushes is the footage. But yeah, with 20 hours of that.
Wow.
Yeah. It was fun.
Yeah, so that's like when you're watching a television show or a movie and they show like you said you shot in Point Pleasant.
Yeah.
So maybe prior to that you might see just a shot of the town or a shot of the beach or something. That's what they call
B-roll,
right,
like an establishing shot.
Correct.
Yeah,
That
definitely.
sort of thing. But yeah. So that's that.
Yeah. It was interesting. I'm slowly getting acclimated back into society.
Uh-oh. So what's your next project? You have one in mind or?
Yeah, I've been like, so a lot of the research that I do is, I'll watch movies as inspirations. I'll figure out, like, I watched a lot of movies. I watched a lot of really dark movies making this movie because, like, I really wanted to see how other movies tackled suicide. So I had to go and watch a lot of movies, dark comedies, dramas, to kind of to see how they tackled the subject and kind of like see what I can get influenced by. And it was awesome. So now basically that's what I'm doing with this next idea. I don't really have much of a concept yet, but I mean, I have a concept. It's more like the idea is tackling kind of patriarchal systems within Latin American families. So there's a lot of like, it's basically just like just follows this like teenage girl and how she's kind of resents the way that her brother's raised because it's a lot more relaxed than her being the way she was raised.
Gotcha.
So it's kind of like tackling that subject within like my culture. So that's what we're doing now. That's what I'm doing now.
What is your ethnic background?
My parents are Dominican, so there's like Dominican and British and all sorts of weird stuff. But my dad is British and Dominican, and my mom is Dominican.
Okay.
So yeah. So and I'm hoping that in the future, that's what I tackle a ton of, whether it's casting Latin people on like in front of the screen or tackling subjects with Latin Americans.
Mhm.
So.
Okay. So what was the primary language in your house growing up?
Actually, the funny thing is, the language was English, and whenever somebody spoke to me in Spanish, I would just respond in English. It was pretty lax. Like, so my parents would be like, "No, you're gonna speak Spanish," and I just go, "No." I would just always respond in English. I mean, I kind of regret it now because it'd be nice to know two languages, but I understand it better than I can speak it. I can survive like in a place. I can figure it out, but I really wish I wasn't such a stubborn child.
Well, it's I took Spanish in high school and
Yeah,
became rather fluent, and then I got out of high school and
it's gone.
it was gone because I didn't use it until I started working as a UPS guy and delivering Trenton.
Yeah.
Right around the time Chambersburg was going through that transition from Italian to Latino.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh man, now I got to use this again. No,
Yeah.
I'm picking words out of my head and it's Spanglish.
When I was 13, my mom ran a daycare center, and I had to help around, and that was basically my first job, was working this daycare center as a teacher's assistant. And everybody would speak to me in Spanish, and they forced me to learn it. And then what happened?
Where was that at?
In Union
Weehawken?
City.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
the daycare center was in Union City. But then when I moved to Hightstown, I wasn't working there anymore, and then all of a sudden I lost it all. It was sad.
Yeah, right. Well, we got to wrap things up. It is 9 o'clock, right on the dot. Again, Unlikely Story, which is coming out in the fall or early winter.
Yep.
Correct. Ricardo Lorenzo, how can we find you? What are your?
Oh boy, what are my links and my roots? I think you can find me Vimeo.com/Ricky or Vimeo.com/Ricardo Lorenzo. Vimeo, I think is the site.
Vimeo.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's where you'll find a lot of my projects. I've done a lot of music videos. I've done a lot of short films.
Okay.
You know, whatever I want out there, that's what I put it. So you'll see all that stuff.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for hanging out with us.
Thanks for having me.
2 hours and keeping Kreskin amazed. And
Yeah, we should do this again, but we should have like some cast and crew here and have the amazing Kreskin perform for them.
That's it. We'll
That'd
do
be
that.
awesome. Yeah.
All right. Unlikely Story. This was Rock on Radio here this evening. Ricardo, thank you so much, man.
You guys.
Best of luck with the film,
Thank you.
and we'll talk soon. Till next week, when our guest is R.G. Evans. Rock on.
Thank you.